Okay, so I'll give a little bit of background. One of the things that I wanted to kind of promote with my podcast is language learning, even as adults, because it was something for me personally. Like I wanted to learn languages, but I really didn't know how to do it by myself or ways to do it. So I started looking at different methods, and so there are different, I don't call them strategies or tips that you'll see offered a lot online. So I would like to ask you if you did any of these things and if they helped you. So, did you watch Dutch programming?
I looked at Dutch cartoons. Oh my gosh, Maya the Bee, Shin Chan. I looked at Dutch cartoons a lot.
Nice. And you
That's
find
what
that
I
was
did.
helpful?
It was great. Of course it was helpful.
Yeah.
You know, you don't feel like you're learning
Yes.
and you're just immersed in the cartoon itself.
So did you have that? Because what I've been monitoring is at first, I always hear people say, oh, watch TV, watch programming. But sometimes I realize like it feels like you're watching, you don't understand anything. And I've heard another language theorist who says like you have to find that sweet spot where it's like, I don't have the percentages in mind, but where like you understand a little bit, because then you can grow on that.
Yeah.
So it's like you might not be ready to watch the news, but as you say, if you could watch like a children's program,
Exactly.
So you start where
somewhere.
you can, and
Yeah.
then grow from that.
I think it helps if you find a genre that you like.
Yes, that's another thing they
know.
always say. Find something that you're interested in.
Yeah, there's a Dutch soap opera series, Goeie Tijden, Slechte Tijden. I don't like it too much, but a lot of people, they built on their Dutch language skills through looking at that series.
Yeah.
So you have to find your genre.
Yeah, something you're interested in. That's
Yeah.
so true. Okay, and how did you improve your grammar and writing?
Outside of that one training that I did, that one course, that one program, to do my NT2 exams, I participated in a lot of different language programs. I participated in a literature writing program where we wrote stories, short stories and poems and so
nice.
forth. And every opportunity I had to work on my Dutch, I did.
I love this. I think what you're saying is so important because as I meet people, right, you hear people say like, oh, I want to learn this language. And what I have learned is it has to be active. Like you can't just say you want to learn a language. You actually have to do things
Yes.
to learn that language. If you're not actively seeking out ways to get that language, it's not going to happen. So like for me, for this one, what I do is I take part in Toastmasters, but I do it in French.
Okay.
Because I wanted to give myself, force myself to speak
The language.
and to write. So that is where I have that avenue to do it, so that I'm forced to do it. Because I I've done the class and stuff like that, and I had the vocabulary, but I just had the fear
Of
so much
speaking.
of speaking, and afraid, because it's like, okay, I'm not gonna say this right. It's been a long journey for me, but that has helped me tremendously. And so that goes to the next question: how did you become comfortable with speaking? Because I think that is one of the hardest things. And I'll share this. Yesterday, I met some teenagers. They were actually speaking to each other in Papiamento, so I was like getting their language profile, and I'm like, so you should speak Dutch too? And they're like, yeah, we speak Dutch, but they don't like to speak Dutch. And I was like, why? And one of them made this comment. She said, because you can't really like talk the way you want, like to give Millie and stuff like that in Dutch. Like she's like, I can't talk
Doesn't
to my
have the
friend in
same
that
feeling.
way. Yeah,
Yes.
they didn't
Yeah.
feel it. So they could do it in English, they could do it in Papiamento. They like doing it in Papiamento because not everybody speaks Papiamento. They also said that they're never sure who around there could speak Dutch. But she mentioned this idea of, I feel like there was another word like gossip or something. She said like, I can't do that in Dutch. So so that tells me like, it's something with a feeling. So how did you get comfortable? How did you become comfortable with speaking Dutch?
I didn't have a choice.
Not having a choice. There you go.
I really didn't have a choice. I also had issues with speaking. I could have written fine, but I had issues with speaking. And one of the things that we did look into was Toastmasters, a friend of mine. We didn't do it because, there's a fear factor.
Yeah.
But in my journey in the Netherlands, I used to work by the Centraal Verwerking Openbaar Ministerie. So that's a central unit for the processing of fines and so forth. And at a certain point, I became the chairwoman for the workers' union. Yeah, then you need to speak. Yeah, so I didn't have a choice. At a certain point, I needed to do it, so I had to do it. And that's what I said. Change happens because of necessity.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, definitely. So, how has learning Dutch improved, let's say, your life and your job prospects? Maybe you could tell us a little bit about the work you do now. You kind of mentioned what you did in the past. How has learning Dutch, helped?
I don't know how it enhanced my life. I guess it gives me the possibility to be able to work anywhere within the kingdom. How it's affected my work. I worked for the OM in the Netherlands. When I came home, I worked for the Ombudsman initially. That was my first job coming back home. Wonderful job. And what helped is that I could speak the language and I understood the language well enough to be able to read and understand legislation. Because if you can't do that, it's difficult to conduct those investigations. So it helped with that. Pardon. And even now with my current job, it helps to be able to speak the language. A lot of our judges' verdicts are in the Dutch language. The legislation is still in the Dutch language. I still struggle with translating Dutch judicial terms to English because I learned them in Dutch.
Ah, okay.
So sometimes I'm fighting, searching for the word, like, what is this in English? What is this in English? That's what you have as well.
And what is your job at the moment?
I am responsible for the administrative processes at the prosecutor's office.
Okay.
Yes.
Cool. So, is learning Dutch necessary in St. Martin, and would recommend it? So I guess those are two kind of separate questions.
It's not necessary. What I recommend it, of course, I would recommend it. Why? Because we are part of the kingdom. Whether or not we like it, we are still part of the kingdom. And I think that we put ourselves at a disadvantage as being members of the kingdom and not being able to speak the kingdom languages. One of the languages of the kingdom that I do not speak is Papiamento. At work, sometimes they start in Papiamento with me, and then I'm like, Carmencita, come on, you should know this by now. Like, okay, there's some things that I understand. I don't understand everything. And I'm definitely not at the point where I can speak it. But there's some things that I do understand. But I think as citizens of the kingdom, we should be able to speak something in all the languages. I don't think it's sufficient enough to say, I speak English, the world speaks English, so there. Or I speak Dutch and that should be enough. Or I speak Papiamento and it's enough. I think that we should be able to speak a little bit of all of our languages.
That is a very, very valid point. So that means Papiamento should be next on the language learning goals?
It should be next on the language learning goals.
It should be next on the language learning goals. I love that. And it's a good point. I don't know, what would be your advice? Like, if you could, what would you recommend so we can get to that point? Because I think it's a very valid point you're making. If we connected with each other, because I think each part of the kingdom that, whose Dutch is their main language, English is their main language, Papiamento is their main language, we might be not able to communicate with each other to our heart, like the way what we really want to say, because we're so segmented. So how can we make that more something valid and valuable? Let's learn each other's language, at least to a point that we can interact with each other to another level. I know we can, but
to be honest, I haven't really given that any thought. I haven't considered how we can come together and what structure we can come together to learn each other's languages. But I think it is something interesting that can be looked into or should be looked into. I think it would be a pretty good development, that we're able to share each other's languages. Yeah.
Awesome. It has been so amazing talking to you. I think that you bring a fresh, innovative, interesting perspective on learning Dutch. Is there anything else you would like to share before we go?
No, I think that's it.
That's it? That summarizes everything?
That summarizes everything.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, well, catch us next time on the Linguistic Aisle. Ciao. Oh, tell us in Dutch. Say bye in Dutch.
Bye.
Doei.
Dag, doei.